Welcome to How Women Inspire. Today we're hearing from an athlete, Wall Street professional who is now running a kick-ass business as a successful entrepreneur. She is the CEO and founder of FORTÄ. This is a B2B SaaS company that creates branded websites and apps for brands to establish video streaming and community platforms for their members. So FORTÄ really started with all things sports, empowering the digital experience with names that we all know, like the YMCA and Curves and UFC and Exhale and Natural Pilates and the NFL Players Association. This got more people into the gym and coming back consistently during the pandemic, something we all desperately needed. This woman's unbelievable track record is just something I have to share with everyone. She was a two-time All-American field hockey player and was at the University of Maryland when they were just the top-ranked team. She was on Wall Street and she plays the piano and violin and has a close-knit family and enjoys skiing. I don't know how you make time for all of this, but I'm so excited I get to spend time with you today. Welcome, Lauren Foundos.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so pumped to be here today.
I'm really jazzed to dive in. So, okay, Lauren, you play the piano and violin. So
yeah, the instruments always throw me.
This will be an interesting thing. If you had a theme song or something that you like listen to on the tough days or the good days when you want to celebrate, what would that theme song be?
I would say definitely love the song Rise Up. Yeah, that song definitely just makes me feel all the feels. And I feel like, especially for all of us females, and it's just sort of my theme song. You just got to keep rising up, keep going. And I would say in other moments, I feel a little bit like the Rocky theme song, I'm just kind of fighting the good fight and just kind of keep going. And I'm hearing that kind of song in my head. So I have depends on the day, which one I'm hearing.
Yeah. Well, I was an athlete growing up and I'll tell you that Rocky theme song was everything. And it's still in my head, running up the stairs like that, that was really powerful, really foundational when we were younger. So that really gives us a sense, I think, so much of where you are and your energy. You have so much energy. It's really fun to be around you. You lift everyone up around you. And I would love to kind of hear, like, how did you connect this intersection of the things that you're personally passionate about, but building a really successful company?
For sure. Yeah. So I obviously played sports my whole life. And it was something that my parents didn't really advocate me to do. As immigrants, they wanted me to focus on school. So it was something that was sort of like my own escape. And honestly, it's sort of like moving meditation for me. I'm not a meditator, as you'll see. I have a lot of energy, but I think it's something that I've always been drawn to. I then started working on Wall Street and I had to be at work so early, 5 a.m, and I had to go out every night to Knicks games and steakhouses. And poor me, I realized it's not the end of the world, but I was really losing my sense of self and I was having trouble finding time to work out. And so I was like, I need to start working out. That's really how I stay grounded. And so I started going to work out before I'd meet clients, and then they would start to wonder where I was. And then they started following me and it became like, where's Lauren going to plan for us to go today? And so that's how I really started like bringing working out back into my life. And it became sort of how I was entertaining people. And then I got really consumed by what was going on in the fitness industry and how it hasn't really evolved, right? You go to the gym, the treadmill had the dot lighting up around the track until Peloton really brought more to it than that. And so I really saw that there was a big opportunity for evolution as I got so back into fitness. The other thing too is just most people don't work out, which is very hard for me to understand. But my dream for the company is that digital is a gateway to getting more people involved. That's a lower barrier to entry, right? So, I think that I am so passionate about it. I hope that we can make more people passionate about it and give them an opportunity to get involved too.
So tell me how FORTÄ really works.
So basically, we build a digital platform for gym chains, boutique studios, fitness influencers, fitness products, sports teams, leagues. Basically, if they want to offer a Peloton-like experience to their members, a digital experience that has live classes on demand, leaderboards, all that stuff, we build that experience and we integrate it into their ecosystem. So it's branded as Curves or UFC, but it's really powered by FORTÄ. And then we integrate it into their member experience, so their payment system and all that. So it really feels like they built that themselves. And I think the pandemic has really shifted behavior in two things that have not reverted back is work from home and also working out from home and working out at the gym. People don't want to just be isolated at home, but they don't want to be demanded to go every day. And that goes for the gym as well. And so digital is now vital for the gym's success. And like I said, most people aren't even comfortable to go to the gym in the first place. 84% of people that do a tour, they don't join because they're not ready. Everyone's in shape, wearing sports bras, and they're like, well, this is not the place for me. And so how do we give them a gateway to get involved? And so I think that's really where I see the biggest opportunity for gyms is just getting more people into the funnel.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. So you moved from Wall Street, which is a certain kind of investing, but now running a company, you've had to go seek investors yourself. Can you talk a little bit about what that journey has been like as a woman founder when only 2% of all venture funds go to companies founded by women? How has that gone for you to find investors in that part of the journey?
Totally. What an eye-opening experience. So one of the things about my old job was that you were just trading and making money. So even though people maybe didn't respect me as much as they did their other peers, they were like, oh my God, what's she trading down there? What's she doing down there? It was based on your success. It wasn't an opinion, right? So they were like, oh, damn, like she made something out of nothing down there. And they would be impressed, like, even though they didn't want to really give me credit for it. Whereas I would go into investor meetings and investors would say like, who built your financial model? Who's your finance guy? Or they would talk as if I was not sitting there saying like, you know, who'd be a great CEO for this company? I'm like, the one that built it, that's sitting right here that can hear this conversation. Like, I guess I never really thought, you know, I have older brothers, my family, I'm the only granddaughter on one side of my family. So I've always sort of never really seen myself as being, I just always felt like I was one of the guys in sports and everything. And so it was really eye-opening to be able to see those things because my job really didn't allow for it. And so I think that was a really eye-opening experience, just like knowing that people were doubting me right out of the gate, you know, and I've always been a strong force. So it just was like, why are you doubting me? I've done everything I've ever done really well. And you're doubting me. And I haven't even spoken yet in some cases. So I think that was quite an eye-opening experience. And I think we're making tracks and you are leading the way in much of that. And I think obviously there's still a lot of work to do.
There's a lot of work to do, but you have some pretty fancy people that are on your cap table, myself included. But Billie Jean King and Steve Wozniak are investors with you and supportive of your amazing company. How did that come about? And do you feel like that those sort of key names have really sort of checked a box for people?
Definitely. I was on a TV show where Steve Wozniak and all these judges, and he said at the end that was the best pitch that he ever heard. And I have never had a loss for words. And I literally was speechless. I was like, Steve Jobs is his co-founder. So he's quite the presenter. I was like, that is, you know, it's just such an amazing moment. And just like, you know, I sort of froze in time there, just couldn't believe what I was hearing. So that was a really, really cool experience. And obviously Billie Jean King is a legend in so many different forms. I mean, she is even more amazing when you get to talk to her. So it's a true honor to have her just for her advocacy work, her women in sports, where, you know, just everything that she does and stands for. I think it's really obviously helpful having those people's names because people value their opinion, trust them. It's good validation. But I do think on the flip side that having celebrities, quote unquote, involved, like also doesn't build the business for you, right? Like, I think like it's good because a lot of people don't know Silicon Valley fund names and they know their names, but it doesn't help build the business. Like Tonal has LeBron James and Serena Williams, and they're suffering a little bit now. Like, and those are as big as names as you can get. And Mark Wahlberg was behind F45 and it sold 2,000 franchises, but the business needed some dynamics in the background that. So I think it's definitely a helpful thing, but I think at the end of the day, building a strong business is the most important thing, but certainly feels great to have the respect and support of people like you and them as well.
Well, is there anything else that your investors bring to the table besides cash and maybe a name that maybe matters, maybe not?
Definitely, I think obviously cash is important, but I would say just like having really supportive investors, like, you know, it's not helpful when investors call to tell me that the market is bad. It's like, I actually trade the market every day. I'm really well aware of that. Like, are you calling to depress me further about what the state of the economy is? Whereas I have some investors that they know my personality and they kind of crack the whip on me like a little horse, like, you can do it. Come on, get motivated, you know, like, and that really works for me well. Like I'm well aware of the macroeconomic climate. So I feel like just having really supportive people that lift you up, I think you are a product of the people you surround yourself with. And
Yeah.
I'm a real believer in positive thinking and in keeping that with when things are tough, you need to continue to motivate yourself. And so I think having really positive forces around you, obviously you want people that tell you the truth and challenge you, and that's important as well. But I think just having investors that really do a good job of supporting you, things are tougher, is also important. And then also really, I think the people that aren't waiting for quarterly updates that I communicate with frequently are often the best and most helpful people, right? Because they're kind of in the trenches on the dailies. And the ones that are usually feisty are the ones that are not communicating and very out of the loop. So I think just staying, and part of that's on the founder as well, like staying in touch and communicating, asking for help, right? And I think that that's an important dynamic with founders and investors, because you guys do have great networks and can be very, very helpful. One of the other things with the Elysian Park investment that was actually really helpful was RGA also invested in, they have a branding agency. And so one of the things that they did was actually give a lot of free work, and it was really helpful. Like, they drained my brain and they could write like Lauren, even better than Lauren can write. I was like, you've like created a better version of me. I was pretty impressed with that. So that was definitely a big asset. But everybody, I would say, brings different things to the table. They all have different value.
I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm not asking for a seat at the table. My friends, this is the first generation of us. We have a huge opportunity. We have power and influence and wealth. And we can start building the tables where we get the prime seats. Today, we want to invite you to join us as investors in venture. I know no one's asked you to do it before. It might be something that seems scary or foreign, but I promise you it's not that different than investing in a mutual fund where your retirement funds are. I want you to lean in and just learn a little bit more. How about making the commitment that in the next 12 months, you can give yourself 12 months to figure it out and to take a step. I want to invite you to be part of the new table of power and influence and wealth. You're invited. I want to sit at the table with you because we're going to make big change. We're going to make the world we've been dreaming of. So how did you go about building this network of advisors and your support system? Because it sounds like we all know entrepreneurs have a challenge, but as a woman entrepreneur, you get beaten up so much. You got to really surround yourself with people who can give you a mirror that helps you stay positive.
Yeah, I would say also a lot of people, as you're starting to get it going, like want to be around too, right? And so like weeding out the people that are really going to be there and support you versus people that are, and everyone is obviously looking to advance their own situation, and that's a good thing. But I think that's also to trying to get through the noise is also a little bit difficult. And I think in some cases, things didn't work out that I wanted to. And I realized in hindsight, and I'm a big believer in everything works out for a reason, that you kind of dodge a bullet. And in other cases, I think the real people kind of rise the ranks. But it's really important, I think, to have people that you can tell the truth to, that challenge you, that you can ask for anything. And sort of, I think it's really hard to do it alone. And as a sole founder, I mean, I have incredible C-suite, but as a sole founder, it's definitely, it's a hard process, right? And it's hard to talk to my friends. They ask like, how was your day? I'm like, well, first I had to talk to Universal Music, and then I did this amazing podcast with our amazing investors. And it's like such an unrelatable sequence of events, and so it's really important to talk to people that are in it and doing and experiencing what you are, and people that have been there. Like, I think that's the other thing is anyone, like I have a lot of advice to give for people in their early days of founding a company now, because I've experienced it and I would love for them to avoid the same mistakes that I made. And I feel like that's an important thing, is having people that have been there to help you see things that you're not able to see, right? I think that's really important.
You're so hardworking and fierce and strong. It's really amazing. And in anything related to entrepreneurship, everyone knows that grit is like the core. How have you really sort of drawn on that athletic experience or the Wall Street experience, like that grit and perseverance to help you sort of work through some of the challenges? I mean, you've been running a company during COVID, like talk about pivoting at all these
bank collapsed.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, you gotta have some serious perseverance and grit to get through that.
Totally. I would say, like, honestly, I think that's the most important thing. If it was only about intelligence, not that I'm diminishing my own intelligence, but if it was only about intelligence, then every perfect person with a perfect SAT score would have a company and be killing it, right? And I think that at the end of the day, it's really about self-confidence, believing in yourself, the ability to get back up when you get knocked down. And that's going to happen over and over and over again. And I think that's really the most important thing. I think there's some actors that are child stars and there's some actors that don't become famous until they're 50 and 60, right?
Yeah.
Then they're on some streaming thing and everybody knows them, right? It's like, so I think it's like anything else. And the other thing that people always say is like, they got so lucky. Even if you have rich parents even if everything was great, and you have a successful business, you did not get lucky. Like, that person is still working very hard every day. You know, people have different circumstances and starting points, but nobody gets lucky. Nobody, unless you won the lottery, that would be the example of getting lucky. Other than that, I think people diminish the amount of hard work that goes into these things. And I think that when it's not working, they want to give up, because it's easy to say, well, that person gets so lucky all the time. And I think that luck is just a series of putting yourself out there, working super hard every day, and moving forward when things are tough. It could take a minute to feel bad for yourself, but that's about it.
Well, and I mean, you have to be able to do all of that, and you need to be able to build relationships with investors, manage a board, build and manage a team, build relationships with your clients, make sure the technology works, and and the financial management. I mean, the amount of things you have to do as an entrepreneur is, sorry, did I overwhelm you just now?
And keep the employees happy. You left that one out.
Right. Right. It's like, and then try to go work out so you can survive to the next day. Right.
Yeah.
So can you give us an instance where maybe your passion and determination, support of your advisors has helped you get through any obstacles for your success?
Totally. I think, like, at the end of the day, like, you know, even as we're launching clients and it's super stressful and we're like, can we make this launch date? And then when it comes to life and we see the client just so happy and users writing in and they're writing in the chat, like, this is the most amazing, you know, like, it all is so exciting. And so I think, like, the cool thing about this is, like, I'm not watching treasury auctions. We're making people's lives better, and we're helping businesses. And it's so motivating. Like, at the end of the day, I'm like, this is doing a good thing for society. And so I think that's really motivating within itself. We are working to build something that's really helpful, right? And not that the government bonds aren't helpful, but just a different atmosphere. And so I think it's really inspiring to work in an industry where you make people's lives better. You know, I think doctors get to feel that, trainers, and, you know, anyone that's directly helping people and seeing that, I think, is a really inspiring thing within itself.
Yeah, it sure does help you in the morning sort of feel like that sense of purpose. And I have to do this because of the people's lives you're impacting. So you just mentioned the government. So you actually advocated in Washington and were part of, an IPAC board. Like, how has that actually shaped your perspective and all the things that you're working on?
Yeah, it was so interesting to be invited to DC to lobby on behalf of the fitness industry. Obviously, I never lobbied before, so we had a bit of a crash course. We were there to basically talk about a bill called the FIT Act, which allows people to use their FSA and HSA for fitness. So, at the end of if you have money left over, then you can use it for your gym membership or what have you. And it was really interesting. And also for children's sports and to make it cheaper, and for military people to be able to go to the gym, basically. But it was so interesting. It was very inspiring, also a little disheartening. It's very complicated. Like, I was not there to talk about gun violence or abortion, and that is complicated. I was like, we just want to make people healthier. They already have this FSA, and we want to let them use the leftover to go, work out. And so I thought it was a pretty easy thing, but then I quickly realized how complicated politics are. And even though that's easy, if they give on that, everything's a bit of a chess game. So that was a little bit of a slightly disheartening part, but also it was super exciting to be a part of that process and see how important it is to continue to advocate for yourself. I think that was one of the most interesting things that I learned, is that it sounds like it's for people in DC, but like, everyone can lobby and advocate and reach out to their local politicians to make a voice. And then if you don't say it, they don't hear it. So I thought that was a really interesting thing. And then as a result of that, I was asked to be on a board for IHRSA, which is the International Health and Racquet Association, which is sort of like the SEC for fitness, which is a huge honor. All of the other executives on it are executives of billion-dollar big fitness companies. So I think they were looking for something different, and I think I'm
They
that.
got it.
And they got it. Yeah. So I think they appreciate it. I said I could tame it down. They were like, nope, we want you to be unfiltered. That's why we want you here. So yeah, I think it's good to see again that people are appreciating a different opinion and just that energy. And I appreciate that they took that into account.
Well, you are just like the Renaissance woman. I mean, honestly, it sort of feels like, what haven't you done, Lauren? To sort of hear the tapestry of what makes you such an amazing leader and an amazing entrepreneur. If there's a woman who's listening to this podcast today and is thinking about starting her own company, what would be some advice you would have for her?
Just do it. That's my first advice, the good old Nike slogan. I think neurosing over things and trying to make it perfect is, there's never a perfect time to do anything. So I think just getting started, and honestly, you're always seeking the next thing, but I sometimes will take a time to reflect or find a paper where I literally wrote down what is venture capital? I'm like, God, I was so stupid. I worked in, that, but you don't know what these things are. You don't know what a safe note, and even though I work in finance, I mean, I know the general things, but just the nuances of this world are so different, right? And so I think it's like anything else. I knew nothing, and now I know a lot more than I did before. And I think it's a result of putting yourself out there and just continuing to learn and educate yourself. So I think that's the most interesting thing is I didn't know one engineer when I started this. I literally went in my LinkedIn and I typed in the search bar tech. And nobody came up. One person, Geisha, she's the founder of Dreamers and Doers, actually, which is a women's tech organization. And I reached out to her and I was like, do you know engineers? I didn't know any at all. So it wasn't like I had this great network I didn't know any VCs. I just knew traders. And so I think the bottom line is to just get started and immerse yourself with the people that you know.
Because nobody can know all of it when they first start. Right. So you just have to jump in and you'll figure out along the way. And hopefully, like you've done, find some great advisors and have people who are backing you up, because it's not an easy journey. Well, thank you for all of this great example for the other women who might be beginning their journey. How could people find you, and what could they do to support you and make sure everybody knows about FORTÄ?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately we're B2B, so we're always looking for new clients. So in the fitness space. So that would definitely be advantageous. If you have any good ideas, please email partnerships@forte.fit and let us know. So that would be very helpful. And then I would say, I think you can reach me on Foundos is my personal handle on all the socials. Lauren at Forte. I'm not on TikTok. I mean, I have one, but I'm not on there. Not that cool yet. And I would say please obviously reach out if you think you could be a good partnership. And if I can help too. I'm a big advocate for helping people when I don't think it has any value to helping me. I do think you get back what you give. So even when it doesn't always, I don't know what the advantage is to me. You just never know when you're going to need help. And so I'm a big advocate for supporting people as much as I can. And if I'm literally spread very thin, which happens sometimes, I'm like, this week it's a no-go. 2 weeks from now, let's do this, and I think it's important to help one another. So if there's anything I can do, I'm happy to help as well.
Thank you so much, Lauren. It's such an honor to be your champion and to support your leadership. Thank you for all you're doing to make us all healthier. And everyone who's listening to this, I hope that you've gotten the inspiration to, gotten a little bit of sense of the courage and grit that Lauren has, and using that to inspire you to do the same. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming today.